Okay.
Cool. How are you?
I am well, thanks. Testing, we're good? Okay.
Mike's working.
Jerry, have a good one.
John, appreciate it, bud.
I'll see you tomorrow morning.
All right. Just unsweetened. It's the tax season.
I'm in my neighborhood now. Sorry. Good to see you here.
You'll need a name tag?
I need a name tag.
Right, they're there, yeah. Did you make a name tag? Yeah, you'll need one, yeah. Oh, okay.
Good turnout today.
Hey, Marilyn. Hi, how are you? Good. See? We told them we offer free something. Discount on property taxes. I need to ask you a question later on.
What does that have? Oh, yeah, it does have a number. Okay. So we wanted to start right at 6 and we're a little after, so.
All right, we'll tell everybody, hurry up and sign.
Yeah, it just it
Okay.
clogs up a
All
little
right.
bit with that, yeah.
Can we-
We can get a couple of people up here at a time.
Yep. Come on up. Come on up. Sign.
How you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Hey, Marilyn.
Absolutely. I'll do something. I'm going to do something.
I agree. Because emotional intelligence, how many hours is that going to be on April 18th or 19th?
Well, there's 4 hours altogether, 2 on parliamentary procedure and 2 on emotional
So it starts at
intelligence.
9?
Starts at, I think, 8:30, I'm not sure.
So I just need to know when to book off
Yeah,
for
yeah,
work. So if I
8:30
book
to
off by 2,
12:30.
that should be-
Oh, yeah, yeah.
This looks really good.
Okay. Let's see if they have my microphone on. Microphone? Ah,
You got
okay,
it.
good. All right. Good evening, good evening. If you could take your seats, we're going to begin the program. So, my name is Marilyn Crotty. I'm the director of the Florida Institute of Government at the University of Central Florida, and I've been invited by the city of Deltona to facilitate this workshop this evening. So let me first ask, how many of you here tonight participated in the strategic planning workshop that the city had back in 2015? I see some familiar faces. Good. Okay. So this is a continuation of that process. At that time, for those of you who were not able to be with us, the city invited folks to come in and talk about the future of Deltona and what they would like to see happen. And that information was transmitted to the City Commission. A strategic plan was formed. And since that time, the city has been working on the strategic plan. We're here tonight to focus on one part of that plan, and that's the economic development part, which of course is a huge issue for every city, and for Deltona, your future is largely dependent on having good economic development. Before we get into the substance this evening, I want to introduce to you people who you already know, I'm sure, but just to make sure you know, Mayor John Masarczyk is here. Commissioner Mitch Honecker, where's Mitch? There he is, okay. Commissioner Chris Nobick. Vice Mayor, okay. Commissioner Chris Alcantara. Commissioner Heidi Hertzberg. And did anyone else come in that I missed? Okay. Our city manager, Jane Shang, is here. Now, unlike most of the Deltona meetings where the commission is sitting up there and they're talking, tonight they're listening. So while it's wonderful that they're here, they're not here to tell you how things should be or what their ideas are. They're here to listen to your ideas, get input from the community, and use that in the decision making that they will engage in the next months, years, as part of the continuation of the strategic plan. Let me go over the agenda a little bit tonight so you'll know how we're going to move along. So we're going to have some brief presentations by the planning director and the economic development director to kind of give everybody the same basis of knowledge, information of where the city is on the strategic plan and what some of the issues in economic development are. Then we're going to ask you to move into small discussion groups. Everybody should have a name tag. If you don't, at the conclusion of the presentations, go back over to the table, make a name tag for yourself, and you'll see there's a number on your name tag, or you may have to have your neighbor read you what that number is because it's upside down for you now. And you'll find a circle of chairs and an easel with that number on it. So we'll move into those small groups, and you're going to spend most of the time talking about issues and answering the questions that are posed on this agenda that you have. I'll talk a little bit more about how you're going to proceed with that when we get to that point. Then we'll all come back together to get reports from all of the groups to hear if there were similar ideas shared in the different groups, and we will end no later than 8 o'clock. Now, if you haven't found it already, the city has provided some refreshments that are over there. So when you transition to the groups, if you want to pick up something to drink or something to nibble, please take advantage of that. So at this time, I'd like to ask Chris Bowley, who's the Planning and Development Services Director, to give you a brief update on the strategic plan.
Testing. Is this on? Okay, very good. Welcome, Chris Bowley, Planning and Development Services Director. If some of you were here in 2015, at the end of 2015, we conducted 2 workshops with Ms. Crotty that helped us narrow down our goals and visions as a city. Unlike a state-mandated 20-year long-range planning window, the strategic plan is a 5-year narrowed version that is built in increments as, number 1, what the community wants to see, and then number 2, the commission listens to the community and then formulates goals to put into a 5-year strategic plan, which is an operations plan to put into effect. So the slides in front of you tonight briefly discuss these strategic goals. The first one was fiscal issues. And the community spoke, and the commission listened, and the commission put their desired features into it for a new community center, which was under some discussion for some time, and that is underway. You can drive out to Howland Crossings, which is the subdivision, but it's MLK Boulevard, which is over off of Howland Boulevard at the flashing yellow at the top of the hill, and you can look to the left and you'll see that the community center is under construction and the walls are up and it's underway. So we plan to open that in December of 2017. Overall beautification grants. We do have several efforts underway. We have 5 gateways that a lot of people don't know. 3 are obvious on I-4 and then 2 are on the east side as well. Of those gateways, we were able to secure a grant from the FDOT for the Howland Gateway at the interchange. It's a pure reimbursement of $125,000 to beautify that gateway. They're also contributing up to $750,000 of state money, not city money, for the Saxon improvements for beautification, which they've already started to install those on both sides, Deltona and Orange City. And there are plans long range for the third southern interchange for beautification. And we are doing some signage out on the 415 Howland intersection as well. So that's going to be going in this year to beautify that with some landscaping. The Thornby Here project, Mr. Mays will talk to you about that later. But that's been a long, ongoing effort with first securing Volusia Forever funds in partnership with the county, where we purchased the property. Then we constructed a park on about 1.5 acres of land, which is actively used, and it's one of the only all-inclusive playgrounds in the region for all kids. Transportation CIP, that is going to be coming to you more, but we just had a workshop here on Monday night to discuss those issues, paving, paved shoulders, sidewalks, et cetera. So money has been budgeted and bonded for those improvements for the community. Improvements to the existing community center, we have a quote for that. Adding an additional building, which is much needed at the Veterans Museum, and that plan is underway. Other grants, which will be ongoing as approved by the commission on a case-by-case basis. Another strategic goal, economic development. We already talked about the focus on Howland. You can see the development of Halifax Health campus, which is being built. You can definitely see it from I-4 more than anywhere, but you can also see the new road, Halifax Crossing Boulevard, which was built up to it and landscaped. Looks very beautiful. We're constructing the senior center, Team Volusia coordination, and they have been tremendous partners to us on the economic development side, developing a database and marketing strategies. We have pursued and received a partnership with the county for the Southwest Deltona Community Redevelopment Area, and that is going to get its final step this year with the establishment of a trust fund, which we need to create. We have obtained master planning services from Team Volusia and others for sports marketing analysis, et cetera, looking at the city in more of a global picture. We are in the process through plan approval to provide for a diversification of housing opportunities. And we also developed a business niche for the city with a new slogan and branding. We were working with existing businesses to expand and grow. I don't know, it's kind of a subtle effort, but as you drive around town, you can see a lot of the vacant space in the existing buildings being occupied and filled. For example, what is it, Crunch Fitness just occupied 1200 Deltona Boulevard, correct? And we are getting the Veterans Administration to move over here as well. That's a very, very big deal. We are continually and always, this is an ongoing effort, and we value your feedback for customer service and ways to improve that. But we always think in terms of trying to make things more efficient and streamlined for you. And we are always looking at our existing facilities publicly to see where they're best serving the population, and that's underway. Public safety, obviously a big goal for the city, both in police protection and fire protection. And we have begun partnership dialogue with the county on different issues. We have been looking at, and in some cases, adding additional staff, especially to, I believe, the fire department. And that seems to be proceeding forward. There was great discussion about a fire assessment cost-benefit analysis, and for now that's been tabled and probably going to be come back in the future, but for now it's been tabled. We've looked at a cost-benefit analysis for medical transport. It's underway. The sign ordinance, hopefully, it will be adopted very shortly. We are one reading short of getting that adopted, so we're getting close, and then we can check that off the list. And then a review for additional staff, which has occurred in the code enforcement section. Again, I won't repeat duplications, but going into just making the city overall look better, demoing houses that have been vacant and disrepair for a while. adding to some landscaping around lift stations, little things you may or may not notice. Internal, external communication, always a big goal of the city, to improve that, to be transparent, to be visual, to provide different mechanisms through Deltona TV, websites, Facebook, water bills, et cetera. We have numerous avenues to attempt to communicate and try to do the very best we can to cover and blanket all of that. We have been talking to, again, the Beautification, and we looked at social services summits. We conducted 3 of those to identify with the community the areas that you want care applied and the agencies involved that apply that care. So we work through CDBG funds, through other granting agencies to administer aid, and so far that's been pretty successful in the city. We do reach out. We try intergovernmental coordination early and often in all cases, and that is ongoing. And let me flip over. I'm going to get out of the way here, I promise. It's just a long list. Infrastructure is another goal. We did look at the amphitheater agreement with the county for Lyonia Preserve, which is also the library, and that is being reviewed, and discussions with them have occurred. And engagement, I mentioned before, of a parks master plan, which going in, we thought possibly that we were more of a bigger market and a more of a regionally serving market for spectator sports. And as it turns out, the community spoke that you really want enhancement of our existing parks and capital improvements to those existing parks to serve the residents that are here now rather than attracting sports tourism. So that was a well worth analysis. Let's see, going down, see if I can skip over a couple things here. Utility expansion, just one thing everybody needs to know, that our Public Works Department is very much active in regional water supply issues, talking to the legislature, staying with our lobbyists, staying on top of it as regulations change for consumptive use of water, reuse, Blue Springs aquifer, et cetera. So, and we are trying very hard as a city to always stay ahead of the curve, like putting in the wastewater treatment plant, which is our second such facility. We are working very closely. The Vice Mayor is our lead on the Transportation Planning Organization regionally, and is very active and engaged. We are talking also about a 0.5-cent sales tax potential, 1 cent sales tax referendum for transportation projects countywide, and that includes Flagler County as well. Let's see, partnership with different organizations is underway. YMCA, we again sponsor the Council on Aging with CDBG funds. And then another is sort of a nebulous goal, but it's none less important, is something near and dear to you, is to keep a balanced budget, which I think we have a great finance department which does that continually successfully. Focusing on our emergency management plans, public safety issues, annexations policies, trap and release, TNR program, all of these, no less weighty than the other. But this is our worksheet. This is our task list and our punch list that we use to tie everything back to. So if you come to a city commission hearing, you'll see on the agenda for each item how it ties back to this strategic plan. So thank you very much for your time, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Mace.
Okay.
Have a good night.
Thank you, Chris. As you can see, the city is really busy. There's a lot to do, but they are working the strategic plan, which is very commendable. There are a lot of cities that do a plan and it sits on a shelf. That's not the case in Deltona. Jerry, are you going to speak from back there or come up here? Okay, so our next speaker is Jerry Mays, who's the Economic Development Manager, and he'll share with you some information that will focus on what we're here to talk about tonight.
Good evening, everyone. The purpose of our meeting this evening is to make a plan. This is the public meeting. This is the first step of it. A little long-term historical. The city had a 5-year strategic plan. It was done in 2007. which means it's 10 years old at this time. 5-year plan, 10 years old. So the idea is we're going to come together again and find the direction that the city is planning to move in. That's why we've asked for your support this evening. You don't know where you're going to go if you don't know where you've been. So some more recent historical data. 5 years ago, the major industry in our city was grocery stores. Think about that. The Publix, the Winn-Dixies, et cetera. It was grocery stores. Grocery stores were our largest employers. Since that time, what we've needed to do is find the industry that will be designated as Deltona's industry. And that's what we've been working on. With the commission's backing, we went after health services. Now, we needed to find that needed service that was needed, and Deltona needed those health services. We truly did. It wasn't just, oh, let's find something good. It was something needed. It would help build good-paying in-city jobs so that we would be able to have that lunch crowd we need to attract the other businesses we want. That's the restaurants, the retail, service industry. Not just develop jobs, but develop careers. And that's what health services builds. You start in it, you can move your way on up the line. So that's a career building venue that we've gotten into. Aside from health services, we've had tremendous amount of, as Chris mentioned, inner city growth, the Crunch Fitness, the VA clinic that's coming in, on and on and on. A lot of businesses going into retail strips, which is needed in this city because small businesses traditionally don't go out and build their own building unless they've been in business a good while and are profitable. So Honest One Auto Care is under construction right now. It's an auto care place, but it's Deltona's first franchise auto care. We have the center that's under construction. If you've driven down Howland Boulevard up at Fire Station 65, you've seen those walls going up. Today they were delivering the steel for the roof. And we had a little gathering out there and lunch, and the chips are from that lunch. Don't forget those, okay? But it was nice. It's good to see things happening along those lines. Now, going back to healthcare services over the last 5 years, healthcare services is this city's current industry. We've built healthcare, we are building healthcare, and we also have healthcare that's deep in the planning stages. Just some ideas. Doctors' offices have opened. Diagnostic labs have opened. Dentists have opened. The most recent was Deltona Dental up at the Saxon Neighborhood Market. Chiropractors, physical fitness centers. Anytime Fitness opened just a little over a year ago. Crunch Fitness over on Deltona Boulevard opened just about a month ago, maybe not quite that. You say, well, that's a gym. Well, yeah, but going to the gym is part of what you do, okay, along with walking on trails and bicycling to keep yourself well so you don't have to go to the hospital. So it all works together. Extended care centers. We have the Gold Choice Assisted Living Facility, which has specialization in memory care, Alzheimer's, dementia. So it has a medical aspect. Again, bicycling, walking trails. We just had the opening for the Lakeshore Loop. Very nice trail that connects 3 or 4 locations to the state-to-state, coast-to-coast trail. And we just put in our application, processing it through. Scott McGrath is handling that over there. Okay, for the Providence Trail, which will run from one end of Providence to the other end of Providence, bisecting practically the entire city. Okay, so that's a major item because then we can start connecting in parks to that also. So that's the fitness aspect. Medical office buildings, a About a year and a half ago, Florida Hospital Fish Memorial opened a very large medical office building over on Saxon Boulevard. One in planning is by Halifax Health that'll be going in adjacent to their new emergency room. I don't want to get ahead on that, okay? Care for our vets. The Veterans Administration has decided they're moving their clinic from Orange City to Deltona because there was additional space and parking in Deltona. So that's a big boost for the health care of our veterans. Emergency room, Halifax Health at Halifax Crossings, out next to I-4. If you've driven on I-4, you've gone past it and you said, oh, what's that out there? And that's exactly what it is. That's where the medical office building will be going, and that's where the hospital will also be going. And Halifax Health has said, yes, we're going forward with it. So it's on the horizon. Also, not to forget, Central Florida Regional Hospital has purchased land from Frank DeMarsh, who's here in the audience here this evening, toward building an emergency room also out in the activity center area. Healthcare services creates in-city living wage jobs. Historical data. Third quarter of 2010, the highlight, I'll call it low point of the recession, Deltona had an unemployment of 13.8%. That was drastic. Fourth quarter, 2016, the last full quarter. We're in first quarter of 17 now. The reports aren't out yet. Unemployment was at 5%. A tremendous turnaround in the number of people working. And we did not lose population. The unemployment was not caused by people moving out of the city. People continuously moved into the city, and our unemployment dropped tremendously, 13.8 to 5%. So that's a huge gain. The fourth quarter, again, of 2016, Volusia County Department of Economic Development. Deltona has 44,000 workers in its labor force with a 5% unemployment. Our labor force is larger than any of our surrounding cities, and that's just the folks out working. Legitimately, Deltona can be called the workforce engine of Central Florida. Feel free to use that quote. Another item, and my apologies here, okay, we talked about the pathway, job creation. I got into my talk and lost the slides there for a moment. Okay. The war for talent. We're looking for a new strategic plan. Where are we going to be going in the future? What's the next 5 years going to be? Job creation. What's our local industry? The medical health services. Goals, jobs that pay the living wage. In other words, I'll use a quote my wife used. All honest work is honorable. But I'll also use a quote, a better living, a better life. And that's the living wage. That's developing the skilled workforce. And what are we doing to build a skilled workforce? There's a lot in the works right now. That's regionalism. Infrastructure, development preparation. All the entities, state, county, and the city need to make it happen. And the grading, is it working? Yes, but we're going to have to continue that. Some of the regional things that we're doing right now, in other words, this workforce of 44,000 people, there's a sad truth to that. The majority of that workforce, and I'm talking basically 41,000 people, roughly, every day leave the city and cross over the St. Johns River. And that's something we live with right now. You're not happy with it, nor am I, but it's a truth that we can't just deny. So what are we doing? Okay, it's an us-them situation. It's us, we're the labor force. It's them, they have the jobs. So we go to the jobs. Workforce does not respect political boundaries. They go where the jobs are. Simple as that. There's a group that has been founded. It's called MEDO, M-E-D-O, Municipal Economic Development Organization. It's a 4-3. There are 3 cities in West Volusia, Deltona, DeBary, 4 cities in West Volusia, Deltona, DeBary, Orange City, DeLand, 3 cities in Seminole County, Sanford, Longwood, Lake Mary, all working together to improve the quality of workforce, the skills, okay? And in truth, we're working with them. The Lake Mary, for example, they're close to being full at Heathrow. So I'm working with Lake Mary on smaller projects they may be able to push our direction, because we are the next big thing up the road. That's Deltona right out here at our commercial corridor, which is Howland Boulevard. Now, that's Howland all the way down to 415, Howland all the way to I-4. But right now, the activity center is based upon Providence to I-4. We have available land in that area. We have willing owners in that area. And we have the new construction, the activity, that helps generate more activity. We also have a group called VEDN, V-E-D-N, Volusia Economic Development and Educational Network. This works with the folks in Seminole County, and on our side, it's Volusia County School District for their academies and training, Daytona State College, Bethune-Cookman University, Stetson University, and Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, all working together in their upcoming training. Okay. Damaging too many ears, I guess. I apologize. Working to train our workforce to get these better quality jobs. Move up a step in your life. Help build your life. We mentioned infrastructure. Infrastructure, to hit the highlights, transportations, roads to bear the traffic, not just of our residents, but of the commercial traffic. Commercial water, are the lines sized for the capacity needed? Small water lines won't get the amount of water to the commercial areas. So we have to look at something along those lines. Electricity, generation substations available. We've been lucky in that. We have a brand new Duke Energy substation. We got one for Florida Power and Light down off of Howland Boulevard. Actually off of 415 between Howland Boulevard and Doyle Road. Natural gas. The lines have not been laid in the needed areas. And we're going to have to work with the natural gas provider and get those lines put in place. I know the commission has repeatedly brought up that we need to do this. And yes, we do. I noticed Perry back here, who owns Cocky Rooster, a restaurant, is nodding his head yes. If you want restaurants, you better get the natural gas, because that's what they use. Big one, commercial sewer. Okay. The majority of businesses don't want to have to buy the additional land to put in an extra septic tank or even a septic tank. Okay, they want commercial sewer. If you want medical health services, for the most part, you've got to have sewer because of biohazardous materials. If you want restaurants, a restaurant, if it's not on sewer, has to have basically 2 septic tanks, one a grease trap septic tank, and then one for the regular kitchen restroom. So it becomes extremely more expensive, not only to put the septic tank in, but also because they have to buy the extra land to do it. So we're going to have to look at commercial sewer. There was an emphasis on the word commercial, because that's what I'm talking about. We've got to look at commercial sewer in the areas that we want to become commercial, or the areas that are commercial and we want to develop commercial. The major development corridor, as I've mentioned, right now is Howland Boulevard, Providence to I-4. It's available, dependable land with the infrastructure in place other than natural gas, medical, entertainment, services. We need to develop the infrastructure completely in that area and in other areas that we want to develop. The city has developed an employment-based center, and that's healthcare services. Right now, we have a huge amount of healthcare services underway. As the vice mayor said, we're doing gangbusters out there in medical. And he's right, we are. People are recognizing it in the cities around us, everything that's happening. I guess what I'd like to ask at this point that you keep in mind, first item, we need to continue getting those in-city jobs so that we can attract in the restaurants, the retail, the service industry that you so much want and deserve. But we still don't have the total number of in-city jobs to truly make that happen yet. So we've got to continue working on that day in, day out. Second item to finish up with is what's going to be next. Healthcare services. In economic development, we have what is known as horizons. 5 years from now, we may have enough doctor's office and emergency rooms and medical office buildings and everything else that goes with that, that we just don't need a continuous recruitment of more and more and more. You reach a saturation point. So what's the next big thing? And are we going to wait for that 5 years to end before we finally start talking about that next big thing? To do that would be extremely foolish. That's what we're here tonight to talk about. We know health services is here. They're coming. What's the next big thing? Where's it going to be? How do we create those good paying jobs in the city so we can attract the businesses to fulfill your needs, not as so much as jobs, but for the services, the restaurants, service industry, and retail, because we all want to shop in Deltona. Thank you, and I'll turn the meeting back over to Marilyn.
Okay, thank you, Jerry. So a lot of information has been shared, but now it's time for you to talk about the future of Deltona and what you want to see here and where you want to see it and what kind of jobs you'd like to have. So as you see on the agenda that you have, there are 3 questions that are posed. The first one is talking about things that aren't here now that you would like to see that are going to improve the business environment and the quality of life in this city. The second question is to talk about job opportunities that you would like to see right here in Deltona. And then the third is for you to figure out the most important economic development goal that should be put into this new economic development strategic plan to achieve in the next 5 years. We are now going to move from this part of the room to the small groups. Everyone has a name tag which has a number. That's the group that you're assigned to. Before you move, let me tell you one of the things that you need to do in each group. Once you get yourselves moved into that group, one of you needs to volunteer to be the recorder who will capture the key points that are raised by the people talking in that small group. The only requirement is that your handwriting be reasonably legible, because I'm going to collect all those flip charts and put all your ideas together in a report. So this is not to be a recording of everything that everybody says, but just the high points that you want to list so they go into that report. In your small groups, you will be discussing each of these 3 questions. We have now about 40 minutes, so I'll be timing you as you go through, reminding you if you haven't moved to the second question, you need to do that at this time. At the end, at 7:30, when we conclude those discussions, we're going to ask each group to give a brief report of the main things that you talked about. You'll just have a few minutes to do that. And one of the people in your group should also be prepared to volunteer to be that spokesperson. It doesn't have to be the person who was doing the recording. It could be, but it could be somebody else from the group who's willing to do that. So if you don't have a name tag, you can pick one up. The groups are numbered with the flip charts. There's markers by each of them. And I'm going to ask you now to move to those groups. If you want to pick up a snack, as you do that, please do so. And you'll begin your discussions as soon as your group has assembled.
So I can make it to dinner.
I'm getting there, I'm getting there.
Some of the groups have moved to the second question. If you haven't yet, you might want to finish your discussion of the first one and move on to the second one.
recycle bin. Right there. Okay, that'll work for tonight.
When your group is ready to move to the third question, while you can continue to brainstorm a lot of different goals, I want your group to come to a decision on which one of the goals you identify is the most important one for the city to focus on. So again, at the end of the discussion of question number 3, you're to select one goal that you think is the most important.
Really, it's like somewhere between the garage and something like,
That's your biggest? Yeah. That is my biggest.
for the what?
So it's the biggest goal. If anybody else agrees that that's one of them.
Economic development goal. Because it's to have the largest population, our population.
Oh, we'll have public executions.
We're achieving in the next 5 years. Get Deltona residents to spend their money. Lower taxes.
I'm saying, how do we?
Bring up the ideas. Every chance I get up on my show.
Is that maybe the way to say that? No?
Progressive is like a dirty word.
In other words, what I'm trying to say is, we build something, like Will Rogers used to say, if you build it, they will come.
Kevin Costner said it.
There's one that's been trying now they're down in Victoria. They're trying to get in.
It can mean a lot of different things. The one that really threw me back here was the group at the back. Reduce the We could probably get 30,000.
Sports tourism, it sounds to me like what they were talking about.
Yeah. You need to move to the third one.
Soccer teams can come up.
We have to move to the third one.
So, are these your goals? Are these your goals, the answer number 3? So you have to pick the one that the group agrees on that's most important. Or if there's something that's not up there yet that they think, you need to pick the one that's the most important.
Pick one.
The group has to agree on.
What's the most
Rebates to the citizens of Deltona.
So if it's not up there yet and there's something that's more important than those, get it up there, but agree what's the most important thing you could do in the next 5 years to improve the economic development of the city.
I would say the shopping.
So I'm going to complicate this for you because I'm going to ask, I think I want each of them to go around for the first question and then go around for the second question and then the third. But I'm going to probably reverse it so that the same person doesn't always go last. Yeah, okay. Because otherwise I think we're going to lose the... Yeah, right.
City business or the regulations.
Has your group finished?
I want to say, these guys took care of stuff.
Yeah, okay,
It's always
good.
good to have young people.
Yes, absolutely. We don't always get that at these kinds of sessions.
Higher costs. It's really a frustrating thing. Oh, we are.
I heard it somewhere.
you don't have to do it for those, but did the group agreed on the third, that was the most important? Some of the groups have completed the task, so if you haven't yet agreed upon the most important goal, you should be doing that now, deciding on the most important goal for question number 3. Y'all have you done everything? You got your most important? Good, okay, all right. And you all have completed?
Yeah.
Good, okay. All right. Okay. Have you picked which one is most important? Which of those is the most important? These are your important goals? You got to agree upon which one is most important. Uh-huh. Okay, so the top is your goal, and those are ways to get there? That's your most important goal, and those are ways to get there? Yeah. Okay. Oh, excuse me. Right. But the answer to number 3. Yeah. Okay. Did you pick which of those is the most important? So identify it, because I'm going to have to write it up, and I don't know which one. Put a circle around it, or a star next to it, or whichever.
Put an asterisk next to it.
Yeah. Okay, it appears that most of the groups have completed the task. Is there any group that is still working on identifying their most important goal? Everyone ready to go? Okay. There's a lot that you could talk about. but our time is limited. So if I could get everyone's attention, if I could get your attention, I think the best way to proceed on the reporting is to stay where you are, but you have to be quiet so you can hear the reports. Okay, okay, good. So every group should have designated somebody, or somebody should have volunteered to give the report for your group. Hopefully you have a spokesperson. And the way we're going to do this, if you'll listen for a minute, we're going to start and go in numerical order, and I'm going to ask each group to give a brief report on your response to the first question, which was identify things that are not now in place in Deltona that would improve the business environment and quality of life in the city. And we're going to start with group 1, and the spokesperson is Tommy. You can introduce yourself. And
hey guys, Tommy. Our group identified that a big concern was they like to see a police department here in Deltona. More multifamily apartments or multifamily living, widening the main streets here, more activities for children like athletic fields and complexes for sports, more youth and trade, vocational schools. And I think everybody wants to see more shopping and maybe a mall put in here, and improve Deltona Boulevard, the appearance of it. That was the first question.
okay, we're going to move on to another group. We'll come back to you. Group 2.
Okay, we kind of split it up into quality of life and business. From a quality of life perspective, a lot of internal neighborhood things. So street lighting, sidewalks, street widening, especially some of our main roads and the improvement, how they appear, potholes, things like that. Adult-focused parks, dog parks, trailhead activities, things that people can do every single weekend. Not all focused on children, also focused on the adults and what they can do there. And more quality of life, housing and neighborhood improvement, and performance of the schools, really focused on getting us A-rated schools so people want to bring their executives, their management level employees here to the city of Deltona. From a business perspective, having a balanced approach, not all focused on Howland. Restaurants, not fast food. Need a downtown area, even if it's not a historical area, it's something that we've created. A true activity center. Need office and flex buildings to attract the businesses, hotels to support the medical industry, business incentives to relocate here, consistent business incentives, so that we can attract the businesses that we target.
So we're beginning to hear some common themes, which is good, because if there's consensus in the community, a lot easier to get these things done. Group 3.
Good evening. My name is Troy. Definitely some commonalities here. For the business focus, we're talking about commercial sewer. We recognize that being a huge impact for businesses to be able to conduct what they need to be done here. Road infrastructure, and then an increase in street lighting, and continued sidewalk improvements throughout the city as well. For the quality of life, we talked about bringing in restaurants and shopping malls and plazas, upgrading the architectural standards so that there's not just a generic concrete appeal, but an actual more visual appeal to those buildings. Develop the lakefront area, something similar to what they've done in Sanford if we can, something down by the lake to kind of increase traffic down that direction. A neat idea of maybe a ferry between downtown Sanford and our side of the lake, just kind of a neat connection there possibly. And then something that's for quality of life, bringing in vocational schools so we don't forget the kids that are leaving high school may not be on the track to college. They need some other options, and we think vocational schools might just be that way for them.
Good. Okay, group 4. Yes?
Evening, everyone. I'm Mike. We kind of have a, again, general consensus. Everybody wants nicer restaurants, not fast food, somewhere you can actually sit down, dine. A lot of local businesses, not corporate franchises. Shopping centers, car dealership possibly. H2O for the water is one of the qualities of living. A lot of people that live in Deltona have realized that the lakes are now fields. A lot of people that pay lakefront property taxes would like to actually live on a lake. So that's a big thing. arts, museums, entertainment revenue is going to kind of coincide with not only work but play. And better infrastructure with street lighting, easier routes to get to I-4 so you don't have so much traffic when you have to go to work. Oh, it's special needs. And special need activity centers.
Okay, let me scoot past you and get over to group 5. Who's going to speak for your group? I guess you're it.
I'm Becky. Well, we also, for, what was number 1?
Did you want to bring our page 1?
I think that was page 1.
Oh, that is page 1. Okay.
So we wanted to also see sidewalks and improve public transportation. Business incentives would be really good. And maybe a business network portal. Also, what would be helpful is a friendly city employees with a helpful attitude when people come into, maybe want to get questions about relocating here, and just communication in general.
I think we talked about some difficulties with getting permitting done, and that the information is not clear cut.
So we're going to just number 1. Becky, just she's on. Yeah, we're moving to the next group. Okay. All right, group 6.
Good evening, everyone. I am Rashid, and for Group 6, we were really focusing on bringing jobs to the people in Deltona, and when the new people come in, when new residents come in, being able to keep them with their new jobs and have them live in Deltona instead of living elsewhere. And one of the things we're thinking about doing is having a business park, maybe on the east side of Deltona. And one of the reasons why is because we wanted to be able to have more job opportunities for folks in Deltona so they don't have to cross the bridge every morning. We are also thinking about having like a light industrial area, maybe in the south, I believe southwest part of town, closer to the Doyle Road area of I-4. And that's just allow more business incubators and kind of trade businesses to get a start in Deltona. Because, once a business starts in the city, it tends to stay there. So we really want to create areas for that. We're also looking at access plans for undeveloped areas of the activity center off of Howland. We're also looking at more multi-dwelling units, more housing diversity in Deltona to let people who may be moving here for the new medical jobs to have different choices in housing. They can have apartments or townhomes, things like that, to diversify our housing. We also said that we would like to have more streetlights and paving. There are some areas in Deltona that are really dark that may leave a bad impression on some folks as they begin to think about moving here, especially for the new jobs. And then we're also talking about cleaning up the gateway streets and improving curb appeal. One of the things that we've noticed is that when people come to Deltona, sometimes our gateways are not the best looking. One of the gateways that we spoke about in detail was Saxon. When you come into there, sometimes, you may not get the best impression of the city, and that's very important for the people who may be filling our new jobs, the doctors and nurses. We want them to live here too and spend their money here. So we definitely want to let them show them the great community that Deltona is, and that's what we have.
Great, thank you. Good. Okay, group 7, answer to the first one.
Okay, hi, my name's Duncan. Our group decided that we would like to develop along main roads a lot more. One of our members drives to work every day, and there is not a gas station along the road, so that's something we want to look into. We want to help and try and get vocational and charter and trade schools in our area. We think that would be a big boon to education here, very good. We want to revise regulations. I think we all know that Deltona is a great place to do business, but it's kind of hard to get started here. So maybe cutting some red tape would help with that, and we'd like to encourage investment in infrastructure. Oh yeah, and also we want a downtown Deltona. I think someone else mentioned with that, and I think that would be great.
Great, okay, thank you. You're beginning to hear, you are hearing lots of the same things repeated.
Hi, I'm Gene Gizzy, and our group came up with a lot of similar things that you all came up with. infrastructure. We're not going to go into specifics. We all like the idea of having a downtown where you could park your car and walk around. Of course, restaurants, but after Jerry covered the order of things, we didn't accent on that, but we thought that possibly the most important thing that we do not have that we need, and that is to do with our reputation. You know, there are a lot of people, and most of us in this circle here, who have talked to contractors who say, oh, I don't want to have to pull a permit. Well, I think they're dealing with old information about old regimes and old administrations, because I know I have never had that kind of problem here. So I think we need a little bit of a facelift when it comes strictly to our reputation. We are not who they think we are, and if they know who we are, maybe we have a better chance to get all these things. It's not just contractors. I think we don't need to go into a lot of detail, but I think we need a little help with our PR as a city. We all agreed with that. A rebranding, fixing a reputation. And beyond that, I think that's the key to all the other things that we're talking about. The ultimate being that we need more community activities, things that we can say, this is unique to Deltona. We used to have the Deltona Spring Fest. I served on that board. It used to be a 3-day music festival. It was a big festival. It kind of just withered away. I don't even know if we have it anymore, because if you have those community activities, you get your friends out of their houses, they're meeting out there outdoors where they should be, and maybe that culminates and leads to the possibility of something that is a measure of every community. And I believe we need a performing arts venue because it's a measure of who we are as a community. So.
Now, to be fair, as we go to the second question, we're going to reverse the order. So if you're the reporter, don't sit down, because we're ready for number 2. Yes, for the question dealing with job opportunities.
We're going to keep it simple. We think that more than anything else, we need office. You said to limit it to one thing, if we could. To one. The big thing we all agreed on is that we needed light office and IT jobs, and to include tech training, which we believe may be, enhanced by encouraging the university to expand its footprint here and looking at other universities or private technical institutes to get, because if you're training in an IT job, you could work out of your home. You don't even have to get out of into your car at all. So we think that IT jobs are the number one thing that we should concentrate on.
Okay. Reverse order. Here you go. Another spokesperson.
Hi, my name's Malcolm Swaggerty, and job opportunities that I'd like to see in Deltona would be something along the lines of like mid-range jobs, where it's a little more required, you need a little more than your basic skills, but it's still something that the average person can accomplish and make a decent living off of. For instance, as a high school student, I work in a catering business where people would come to get their weddings done and things like that, and that's a step above your basic fast food chain, food and beverage service, so I'd really like to see something where you can move up the chain a little bit as far as your job goes. And also facilitate entrepreneurship. Make Deltona a place where you can build a company from the ground up and kind of entrepreneurship, get your good business ideas and make something happen. And also a good financial district would be something that I'd like to see in Deltona.
I just have to comment how refreshing it is to have some young faces here. Frequently, the turnout is much older folks, and you're the ones who are going to have this future, so great to have your input to this. Okay.
Hello, everyone. Rashid again. For question number 2, our point was very general. We just really wanted to have career training for folks who may need to retrain in jobs in Deltona, perhaps working with Daytona State College. And for jobs, we were saying that we weren't really focusing on one particular job or field. We said that, this community can use a diverse array of jobs, all jobs. Let's try to bring as many jobs as we can to Deltona. And of course, I know we're focusing on the medical side, but but it'll be great to have, programs and support for the entrepreneurs and the other fields that may organically emerge in the city.
Good, thank you. Great. Okay, now we're ready for number 2.
Having a hard time with this. I think I hear the same thing being echoed again and again from each group. So again, we're wanting to see more industry come here to town. Someone mentioned entertainment business. I think that's real important because if nobody's looking our way, then we're not going to get the businesses. So we have to have something going on with the brand development to have people looking our way. More small business development, manufacturing and technical business development. Youth services is real important because, we're developing some problems as we grow. And infrastructure again. So I think pretty much everybody's saying the same thing. We all want the same things.
Thank you. Okay, job opportunities from this group. Mike?
Uh-oh. Okay, yeah, I know, right? Just on one thing. Okay, guys. The main thing we were discussing over here is multifaceted opportunities, career opportunities, not jobs. Okay, nobody wants, the health insurance or health industry thing is great, but your average CNA makes less than $12 an hour. That's not enough to buy a home. Okay, so we want to see careers. We want to see, telecommunications, IT kind of stuff, banks, engineering, also small business friendly. Okay, if you work for corporate America, you're going to get what corporate America pays you. So if we're small business friendly, like let's say there's a tax credit for any business that's less than 5 years old. That's an incentive to come to this town, to want to open your business here and start here. And within 5 years, you've gained a reputation with the populace here. Now they're going to want to stay even once that tax credit runs out. Okay? This is how you're going to create long-term economics here. Is once you build that core nucleus, sorry, it's been a long day. Once you have that core nucleus, everything else is going to come around it. Okay, so the hospital is a great start because the hospital, you're going to have other services pop up to service the people that work there, like restaurants, etc. But you got to have higher paying jobs, actual careers, an actual commerce center. If you drive to any other area, you're not going, if you go to the downtown central of Orlando, you're not driving past a bunch of houses when you get off I-4. You're getting off I-4 and you're in a business district. That's what we need.
You didn't mention number 9,
And this is what I was being coached on, is the cannabis or medical marijuana dispensary or growery here. That one had a big star. And John has a big backyard. He's already gotten started on it, apparently.
New emerging field in Florida.
Yes, many, many fields. Okay, so on the job opportunities, we also talked about wanting more full-time jobs, not necessarily part-time small jobs, but more full-time career-type jobs, also in the IT and data industries. We also mentioned light manufacturing, some kind of non-toxic, non-heavy metal kind of manufacturing, but some other light plastics and small electronics manufacturing as well. We also wanted to see a focus on green energy and 21st century type things like solar and wind and those types of new things coming through. We kind of talked about having Deltona become the solar capital of Central Florida, if you will, to focus on being innovative and being the city people look to see how can a city in whole bring in these things in. And I'm sure if you all drive around, you'll see solar panels on everyone's homes. And so we want to see the city take that on as a major city accomplishment as well. And we also talked about designing an office park, a downtown central business. And in response to Jerry's conversation about what's after the medical industry, some of us think maybe criminal justice, and not just the police, but the lawyers involved in that, the tactical training, the dog training, all those things that go along with criminal justice might be a way of looking at what could be 5 years from now when medical is at a saturation point. Something else to look at would be that.
Interesting. Okay. Group 2, your jobs identification.
A lot of the same themes here. The clean energy was a topic we discussed. As anything supportive of healthcare services, pharmaceutical, light medical manufacturing, things that would support that industry. Technology, we talked a little bit about our high schools, our middle schools, and our colleges and universities bringing more programming, app development, things that are low capital intensive to start up the business. And that might be a good way to produce an industry here in the city of Deltona. And from a job creation standpoint, really having a balanced approach to those jobs. I think a couple people have said, we need jobs at all income levels. There are people just out of high school that haven't received a higher education yet, and so they're starting at a different level than those who are coming out of college, or those who have had years of experience, maybe in Lake Mary, maybe in Orlando, would like to work here, and those at a higher level as well.
And Group 1, your jobs.
Hi, I'm Vicki. Our group has came to a consensus for more corporate jobs, manufacturing, tourism, to promote tourism for our lakeside, restaurants. I would like to see, well, the fast food restaurants are great, but I would like to see something like a 4-star, 5-star restaurant so you could bring your family, your guests, be seated and enjoy the evening. And the hotels, what we need is like maybe 4-story, 3-story hotels with the restaurants. So that's the consensus that we've had.
Hold on to the microphone because we're going to go to the third, which was the main goal that the city should focus on, economic development in the next 5 years.
Okay.
We'll go back around the group.
Back around, okay. Number 3, rebranding Deltona. Deltona has had a reputation of not so friendly. What we need to do is to have Deltona the #1 city in Volusia County with consensus and friendliness and respect for everyone. Upgrading our #1 was the shopping mall. I'm sorry. #1 was the shopping mall. We were 1 and 2. Yes. The shopping malls. That's what this consensus was for.
And she raised a really good point because I think people outside of Deltona and probably outside of Volusia County have no idea that this is the largest city in Volusia County. And so that whole message has not gotten out in the way it can and should, and will bring you to the level of prominence that you deserve.
We had a number of items, but everything boiled down to higher paying jobs in the city. And higher paying doesn't mean executive level, just means higher paying jobs in the city. Everything else, in our opinion, supports that, whether it's the rebranding, whether it's shopping, whether it's quality of life. It all supports having jobs that are decently paying within the city.
Yeah, so we kind of danced around a lot of lists as well, and I think although it's not sexy in any way, what we kind of came up with was the utilities function. We needed to make sure we had a consistent and quality basis for our utilities, both water and electric in the city, and sewer, to make sure that we have that base level that will encourage all of this development we're talking about. So while it's not sexy, I think as a city, that might be where we want to focus to make sure we have that underpinning, that foundation that may make all of this other stuff possible.
If the infrastructure is in place, you can attract a lot of these other things that people are talking about. Okay, good. The most important goal.
The most important goal, in our opinion, is how to get our 44,000 workers to work here, not in Seminole County and Orange County. That's the biggest goal. Now, everything that we're all talking about is a means to accomplish that goal, in my humble opinion. But that's the goal, is how do we get our workforce working here, spending the money here, and not spending the money over there.
Wouldn't it be nice not to have to be in that traffic? Okay. The most important goal.
Hi, this is Becky again. The most important goal is jobs, just as most everybody else was saying. And I think infrastructure is awesome too. That is really important. The main thing is jobs for the people here.
All right, and we've talked about jobs in a variety of ways, but I think the consensus for most folks is that we're not talking about minimum wage jobs. We're talking about higher level jobs, careers, and things that lead to better economic conditions for all.
So Rashid here again. For our main goal here, we wanted to, our main goal is to kind of create ways for people in Deltona to spend money here and also to be able to be entertained here and to find everything they need here. And I think that kind of encapsulates everything. We need to create dollars here, create a place where people can live, they can work, they can play. And I think if we can do that, then we'll have a complete community, and I think we'll be able to move forward until the next 5 years.
Okay, great. Good. Your main goal.
So our main goal, it would be improving the image of Deltona. We need to make people want to come to Deltona. A big point would maybe be making a downtown Deltona. And then after we have this good image of Deltona, we need to keep the image. We need to keep on expanding, making Deltona a better and better place.
All right.
We're on the same page with group number 4 here, who wants to make us the solar capital of Florida. But we think the most important single goal, and all these recommendations would make it potentially a self-fulfilling goal, and that is that within the next 5 years, we reduce our exiting workforce by 25%, which means we have to capture 11,000 of the 41,000 now, move them to Deltona workplace, and also at least one out of every 4 incoming person. So it's a challenge. It doesn't sound like a big number, but that's 11,000 people off the roads working in Deltona. So we're on the same page number, except we're thinking the number should be like a bold number, like 25%. 100%? We're going to go with 110. No, 25%.
Step by step. Okay. So as you listen to this, I'm sure you heard what I heard, which was to continue to transition this city from a suburban residential community into a vibrant, job developing, lots of variety of jobs and housing that goes along with it, and careers that are going to not only give people who are currently here more than a living wage, but will retain the young folks who are sitting back in one of the groups who will want to either remain in Deltona, return to Deltona after getting an education, and make this the place that they raise their families. I'm going to give an opportunity for any further comments in just a minute. First of all, let's thank all of the recorders and the reporters for volunteering. That was great. And I want to particularly thank all of you for engaging. As I walked around and observed, I don't think there was a single person here who just sat quietly and didn't offer a thought, an idea, and most importantly, that you all were listening to each other. Because to build that consensus in the community, which is going to allow your elected officials to move forward with some of these ideas, it's important that we listen to each other. And I would imagine, because the groups look pretty diverse, that you had people representing different segments of the community in your group. So I hope you learned something from each other, as well as from the information that this city has provided for you. We have a few minutes, so I'm going to allow any additional overall comments or things that you would like to say about this evening's workshop, or anything else about economic development that you think is important for the city to hear.
Well, first of all, again, I want to congratulate the players that made this happen. Whoever it was, I'm sure the city manager, the commissioners, Jerry Mays, Chris Bowley, all those people. I've never seen anything like this. Now, they may have had it and I may have missed it, but this was outstanding today. And a couple of things we need to emphasize, too, going forward. And I heard we want to make it a vibrant city, and we do want to do that, and we will. But also, we want to keep in mind that there were people who moved to Deltona just for the comfort of Deltona. So as we're moving forward, not necessarily calling it a bold move, but some kind of a conciliatory for people who moved here from other places so they could be nice and peaceful. And last but not least, it's definitely going to take a hand-holding and working together of the leadership of our city. Someone said, or may have said earlier, some of the things that with our reputation, it shouldn't be what it is. To make these things happen that we see and we've outlined here this afternoon, it's going to take everybody working together, the commission, the managers, the attorneys, the everybody has to work together to make it happen. And yes, the slogan the new city manager came up with when she came here was, Deltona is a city on the move, and we're definitely a city on the move.
Wonderful comments. And I really appreciate what he said about, don't forget the people that are here, the businesses that are here. We can't just totally focus on what we want to bring in, but we've got to support and have a lifestyle that's comfortable for people who moved here because of what Deltona has been, and that it can still accommodate that lifestyle in this community. Other comments that anyone would like to make? Okay, I'm going to try to keep it on the microphone so it can be recorded, and I'll just go here because you're closer to me.
Hi, I'm Linda Bauer. Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight, and I thank you all for organizing this and holding it for the city commissioners in the city of Deltona. I am a resident